5 minutes until showtime. Four minutes until showtime.
So smile, right?
Three minutes until showtime.
I'm always smiling anyway, so nobody will know the difference. All right.
Two minutes until showtime.
He'll probably show up a little bit later. Tough.
1 minute until showtime.
Here's Tom.
How's that for timing? I'm putting him on there.
Roland, you want to introduce your guest, please?
Live on air or pre-show? Special guests today are from Volusia Speedway Park. We got a major dirt race coming to town, and these gentlemen are going to be here to initiate you to what it's going to happen today, right?
Absolutely.
Bob Stokel And Tom
Your show
Whipple.
will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Now, from the world's most famous beach, from where beach racing began, it's the Legends of Racing radio show. Live from racing's North Turn Beach Bar and Grill in Ponce Inlet, Florida. The Legends of Racing radio show. And your host, Buzz McKim.
Yeah, Buzz! And your favorite host, Buzz McKim, is up in Watkins Glen giving a keynote speech up there. So, you know, we have to deal with him being famous, and every once in a while he has got to go out and he's got to make some speeches. But I am Roland Via. I am here to fill in for him. Big shoes. I know, we're down here on the floor. Anyway, we have some special guests today. We believe in grassroots racing, and today we have two special guests with as grassroots as it gets, and that's dirt racing, okay? People park on asphalt and they race on dirt, okay? That's the way that I feel. To my far left, we have Bob Stokel, who's the race announcer there, and he's going to challenge my vocal cords today. And sitting next to him is the promoter, the guy that puts the money on the line, Mr. Tom Whipple. Put your hands together for him. Volusia Speedway Park.
Thank you.
15 miles west of I-95, right there on State Road 40, and it's a lot of fun. You know, we just came through a campaign season. I'm starting to think about campaign season and races. Of course, the campaign season, they call it races, right?
Absolutely.
So I was thinking, how does the flag man relate to the races? Well, first of all, you have a green flag, and certainly the campaign was full of a lot of green. A lot of money passed hands. And during the race, sometimes, yellow flag, you have cautions that happen during the race. But then I thought, well, what about some of the other flags? Well, we can see by some results that the blue flag was used. You know what is the blue flag?
The move over flag.
The move over flag, right? With the orange stripe, move over flag. But then relate that to the red flag, and that means stop, cease and desist. So it's kind of confusing. And then we get down to the final flag. What is it, Bob?
Well, in racing, it's the checkered flag, but in Florida for elections, I don't know. We haven't thrown the checkered.
That's exactly correct. We have not thrown the checkered flag yet. So right now, that black and white flag is more of a gray flag, isn't it?
I think so. There's a lot of gray out there.
And you know what? The races with the recount is kind of like the 1959 Daytona 500, where we had 3 people at the finish line, and it took them days to take a look at it to find out who actually won.
That's correct.
So it's deja vu all over again.
There you go.
You got it. Hey, Tom, this weekend we have a major race happening. Not only is it the last race of the season, but you guys really have a great program. The first thing is that we have the Florida late models. Who are they? Where do they come from? Tell us a little bit about those cars.
The Florida Late Model Challenge Series is a series that runs all over the state of Florida, with the idea of being it's the best of the best from all over the state, and they're competing for a $10,000 points fund. They run at 5 different racetracks around the state. Their final 2 races are at Volusia Speedway, and right now there's 5 drivers that have the opportunity.
Have they won in their series at their local tracks?
Correct. Actually, we've got pretty much the point leaders from most of the tracks around the state are part of this traveling series.
Okay.
So you've got second place Sean Smith in the series is probably going to be the track champion at Volusia. He's in the lead. Nevin Gainey, who is leading the Challenge Series points, is leading the points at Alltech Speedway. So you've got the best of the best in the traveling series. So each one of these guys, Nevin Gaines won 3 races this season. Sean Smith's won 3. Brian Smith has won 1. David Whitener has won 3. So these guys are all winners all over the state, and they travel together at this series. The series is set up so that no local track is running that class on the night of a Challenge Series event.
Oh,
so,
good.
So none of these guys have to choose between their local track or a statewide level race.
And $10,000 to win. How about that?
$10,000 points fund.
That is
for,
amazing.
for the series.
That's good.
The individual races pay $1,000 or
I
so
see.
to win, and the points fund for the year is $10,000.
Very good. Now, those late model drivers, they may have come up through the ranks,
Most of them
running
have.
other classes. The classes I see here are street stocks, thunder stocks, FMSA mini sprints. Those are fun on dirt. Tell
And
you what,
fast.
they fly. Gladiator or Gladiator Challenge Series. What is that, Bob?
Well, the Gladiators is basically an entry division to racing. They're 4-cylinder cars, and we have on a regular Saturday night, we'll have Gladiators, not every week, but then we have a Gladiator Challenge Series, which is a separate point system for the Gladiators. And I think we run 8 of them a year, 8 or 10, 6 of them, the Gladiator Challenge Series. In fact, tomorrow night is a Gladiator Challenge Series race also. It's the final one for those guys. And it's their own little point championship. You could win the point championship at Volusia in the Gladiator division, and or you could win it for the Gladiator Challenge Series.
What class of car is it that they run in the Gladiator?
It's the little 4-cylinder front-wheel
Okay.
drive cars.
All right.
You know, I think other tracks might equal to bombers or something.
Yeah.
But, you know, we call them the Gladiators.
Or sometimes just the 4-cylinder class.
Right, the 4-cylinder class.
Okay, very
right.
good. More of a stock class,
Correct.
entry level. But
Right.
hey, these guys get
That's-
serious when they get to the these type of races we're going to see this weekend.
You know what, Roland? Those guys in the Gladiator, it means more. I don't say it means more to those guys, but if one of those guys wins, and it's the very first time, well, for any division, it's emotional in Victory Lane. And I have the honors of interviewing the drivers in Victory Lane, and those Gladiator guys, let me tell you, they go at it.
Tom, what is Volusia Speedway Park? Tell us about the track configuration, etc.
Volusia Speedway Park is a half-mile dirt track. Started in 1968. This is our 50th year anniversary. It was asphalt for about 10 years. We also have a smaller track on property. It was a 3/8 mile stock car track for a while. It's now currently our go-kart track. So it's a half-mile banked dirt track right now, and it's the world's fastest half-mile dirt track.
And when we talk about dirt, folks, we're not talking about dirt. We're not talking about beach sand. We're talking about manicured clay.
Very manicured.
With a special base.
Correct.
And it is banked, as you said.
Correct.
So it's not as susceptible to that W word, wet.
Well, we'll put upwards of 100,000 gallons of water a week on the surface.
There you go.
We have 2 graders, 2 water trucks, sheep's foot, which is something that punches holes in the dirt, and then we pack it in. So,
And then once you get racing, especially with the late models, you get a black ribbon around it. In other
Correct.
words, it sets in and becomes a very hard surface,
Right.
but very raceable.
we call it rubbering up.
There you go. You know, to project ahead, I truly believe the best NASCAR drivers steer with the rear. And that means that whenever you go down into a turn, at about 120?
About 120 miles an hour
yeah.
for late models.
Exactly. When you get down in that turn and you turn left, if your car's set up right, if you've chosen a right line, the rear of the car begins to get out from underneath you in a positive way.
Absolutely.
Well, in a negative way that turns positive.
Right.
And then when you stomp on the gas middle of the turn and come out trying to make 2 straightaways instead of 2 turns and 2 straightaways, that makes you much faster, and that takes a lot of skill. And if you learn that skill, I think it equates to better racing in your higher classes. What do you all think? Do you think that works? Yeah. I mean, to me, the best drivers, the Jeff Gordons and the Tony Stewarts and those guys, look, they came up in open wheel midgets and things like that they were able to steer with the rear.
A lot of them are going back to Casey Kane, Tony Stewart. A lot of these guys are going back to dirt.
Right.
Once they've retired from NASCAR or still involved in NASCAR, but when they go out to have some fun on Saturday night, they're going back to their roots, which is most of the cases has been the dirt.
There you go. And I tell you, dirt is a little bit more forgiving. You make a mistake, well, you can work your way out of it pretty quickly. So that's the way it works. For this form of racing, will it be the good old Saturday night racing where we have qualifying? We're going to have some heat races, maybe a consi. which is a consolation race.
Right.
And then we'll have a feature. Is that correct?
Correct. Well, tomorrow, you want me to do this time or you want
Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, tomorrow night, we're not going to do qualifying. We're going to run heat races.
Oh, okay.
We have 5 divisions tomorrow night. We have the Florida late models, the Thunder Stocks, the Street Stocks, the Gladiators, and the Mini Sprints. So 5 divisions we're going to run tomorrow night. So it's going to be, there's a lot on our plate to get done at a certain amount of time. That's basically what we shoot for. But, you know, the heat races are always exciting. And once we start rolling there, we do opening ceremonies at 7:30, and we start racing then. And we roll through the heat races, and then we're going to have a nice intermission tomorrow night. We'll talk about that probably a little bit later.
Excellent.
And then we run the features.
All right. That sounds like a winner. What time do the gates open for the spectators to come?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
General admission for the spectators is 5 o'clock. Pit gates open at 4.
What's our admission price for tomorrow night's race?
$12.
$12. Well, that's good.
$12.
For a major race, that's good.
Kids 12 and under are free.
Okay.
So basically, we say for a family, it costs less than going to the movies.
Oh, very good. Yeah, as a matter of fact.
Well, Roland, and I know Tom would hit on this, but tomorrow night we're going to be honoring our veterans. So if you have military ID, you're going to get in for half price. And then also, it's $12, but if you're a senior, it's $10. And then the children are the same. Children 12 and under are free. So it's a great night to come out to Volusia Speedway Park. If you haven't been there, tomorrow night's your last night.
Now I'm gonna give away a little hint. Do we have our 2 questions out there? We have 1 question. Maybe the other question will come here pretty quick, because we are actually going to give away a Volusia Speedway Park admission pass to go out to the races, and this is good for tomorrow night too. So that's for the 1 question. I don't know who has it, what the question is. If you have another short question, I have another pass. Think about it. Just attract him and you'll get to it. You know, a little bit later in the program, we have a gentleman that came up in the dirt ranks and the older racing. We actually have the oldest living NASCAR champion, Rex White. He's going to be calling into the program. Did you arrange for a driver to call at 12:40? Who will it be?
Yeah. Nevin Gainey, our points leader right now.
Excellent. So we're going to be talking to a dirt driver, and maybe he'll get dirty with us.
There you go.
One way or the other. Okay, let's go back to the racing again. Volusia Speedway Park. We're coming to the end of the season, but it's also known for its Speed Weeks programs. So what is planned for the future with Volusia Speedway Park?
Well, there's a lot of renovations going on. Hopefully you folks will be there tomorrow night, and you'll see that some of the grandstands, if you've been there before, some of the grandstands are missing on the front straightaway going into turn number 1. They're spending, World Racing Group is the company that owns Volusia Speedway Park, and they're spending around $500,000 from the time we throw the checkered, well, actually they've already started it, from the time we throw the checkered on Saturday night to the beginning of the Winter Nationals. They expect to spend about $500,000 with some super renovations. And Tom could fill you in more because he's actually overseeing all the renovations that are happening at Volusia. So, Tom, you want to tell them what you guys are doing today?
Basically, what we're doing right now is adding grandstands with VIP seating, expanded seating, chair backs. Matter of fact, we bought grandstands out of Michigan International Speedway, is what being reassembled here at Volusia Speedway Park. So instead of the normal 24 inches front to back, we're going to have 30 inches and 45 inches with drink trays, seat backs, all in the grandstands, which we're stepping up the level. Short tracks, as you know, we're used to benches and, you know, kind of grassroots seating. This will be it'll have a party deck up top. We're building a new score tower over multiple phases throughout the next year. So we're adding a lot of expanded seating and improving the fan experience.
And what's really, really good about the seating there is every seat in the house, you don't have to pay extra for the vibrating seats.
Right.
They all do that. And any dirt in your face is free.
There you go.
And your hair.
Yeah, and your hair. Yeah. I love it when the sprint cars come to Volusia Speedway Park. And oh, man, I mean, they're going wide open down into the turns and throwing dirt everywhere. And it's an awful lot of fun. The
track record, we call ourselves the world's fastest dirt half mile. The track record at Volusia is a sprint car that ran a 12.5-second lap, which is 143 mile an hour average speed on the dirt in a circle.
It's amazing. You've got to see it to appreciate it when they are thundering around that track, that's for sure. The races for tomorrow night, this being Friday, tomorrow night, Saturday night, in the other classes, they're gonna run heat races too and then come forward? Okay.
Correct.
The general format is they do a pill draw when they get there for
Yeah.
the starting order in the qualifying heats, and their finishing position in their respective heat race determines their feature race starting position. When we have more than 24 cars, like we will with the Florida Late Model Challenge, that's when we run a B main. We qualify in about 20 of the 24 through the heat races, and then we'll bring in a certain number from the B mains to qualify into the feature A main race.
When we're talking about the late model drivers and some of the new drivers coming into NASCAR, what's the average age of some of these late model drivers, would you say?
We have what we call our young guns.
Yeah.
And we've got a young man out there who's 13 years old. He is, his father races, his father's second in points. And then we got another young man who's 17, this is about his third year of racing with the series. He's currently fourth in points. So we've got, and what we're finding is there's a gap in between that 20 and 30-year-olds. And that's what Bob and I are very focused on, bringing youth back into racing.
Good.
And because we've got the young guns, we call them, and then there seems to be a gap into the 40-year-olds. And then last week, Buzzy Rudiman won the open wheel modified, and he's 77 years old.
And he's the father of David Rudiman,
Correct.
who has
David Rudiman's
raced
father.
in
That's
the
correct.
NASCAR ranks.
Yeah.
Last week, we had a great program with Buzz McKim on the New Smyrna Speedway track. Rusty was here. And you also do some things with the quarter midgets at New Smyrna, right, Bob?
Yes, I do. Back in actually 2000, Mark Martin, Mr. Robert Hart, and Randy Dye kind of put their heads together because there was only one quarter midget track in Central Florida, and that was in Apopka. So those three guys went to Randy and Mark Martin went to Mr. Hart and said, we'd like to build a quarter midget track at New Smyrna Speedway, thinking Mr. Hart was going to say, okay, you can have the parking lot on the southeast end of the property. Well, lo and behold, the generous man that Mr. Hart is says, well, you guys can build that quarter midget track right there in 1 and 2. And it's like, really? And then they started moving the dirt. And in 2001 was our very first season. And I've been there since they started. Of course, you can only race quarter midgets till you're 16.
Right.
And my boys were 31 and 30.
There you go.
And I was out there last Friday night announcing the quarter midget races.
Yeah,
It's a great thing.
A lot of drivers we know by name have come through that, including Ben Kennedy, who is now involved with the truck series that's there. Folks, we're going to take our first break. And we want to thank, first of all, the North Turn Restaurant for having us. Rhonda Glasnick, you guys, Walter, whoa. It makes it so easy to get guests because I say, guess what, we're going to eat at the North Turn Restaurant. That gets them every time. That's really good. This first break is brought to you by Cree Web Design. Back right after this. Don't go anywhere.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. Welcome to Homewood Suites by Hilton in Daytona Beach. You're right in the middle of all the action. Daytona International Speedway, the airport, One Daytona, Florida's newest entertainment and retail destination, and of course, the world's most famous beach. You'll love our newly remodeled 1- and 2-bedroom suites, along with our popular King Studios. You won't need your full kitchen, as Homewood Suites Daytona serves up complimentary breakfast and evening social. It's like home away from home. Go to HomewoodDaytona.com for Homewood Suites by Hilton in Daytona Beach. We're back from where it all began, racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, Buzz McKim.
Yeah, Buzz, we already miss you. We're glad that you're being a keynote speaker up there in Watkins Glen, and we'll hear all about it in next week's show, Friday at noon, right here at Racing's North Turn. Okay, we have a special guest here in the studio. We have Bob Stokel, and we also have Tom Whipple.
Well, when you're a damn plumber, you got to expect that.
Oh, there
Yeah.
we go. See, live on the air. We
I
have
reckon
coming
so,
in Eddie Sperling, and ladies and gentlemen, the oldest living NASCAR champion, winning in 1960. We have
guess
Mr.
Roland knows we're with
Rex White. Hello, Rex.
Hello,
Hello there.
Roland. It's good to hear from you. Glad to be out of prison.
I know that. They paroled me
I'm
just
out
for
on
this show.
parole.
You got it. Good to speak with you again. Folks, let me tell you a little bit about this man. During the time that he was the NASCAR champion, he raced actually in 233 races. He won over 10% of the time because he won 28 races. He was in the top 36 races of that. And he was in the top 10 163 times. He led nearly 5,000 laps. And listen to this now. In all those races that he won, and all the time he raced, okay, he won a whopping $223,511. Let me have a whoa. You know,
Well, I'm still in debt.
I know that. In today's money, that would be a lot of money, that's for sure. But listen, it's good to have you on. One of the last times I actually saw you was in 2015, where you were inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and people are still talking about your entry into that.
Yeah. Ain't nobody else done that yet. I'm the only one.
There you go. We love it. Listen, Rex, you've recently been through some rehab and getting back out again. 88 years young. Yeah. I just want to be vertical at 88, much less, doing all the things that you've accomplished. You've received winning awards from the Living Legends of Auto Racing and the Pioneer Award. You've won the Smokey Unique Pioneer Award. You're also a member of the National Motorsports Press Association Hall of Fame at Darlington and the Georgia Automobile Racing Hall of Fame. You've really done it all. Rex White.
And the Illinois Stock Car Hall of Fame.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
I want to know from you. I know you and Eddie Sperling, your good friend, and I want to thank Eddie for helping out. He may be on the line with you there. And thanks, Eddie, because you were a gentleman
You're
for
welcome,
getting him
Roland.
on. Hello, Eddie. How you doing? This is another racer.
We can't do it without him.
There you go. I want to know, Rex White, today's racing is so cookie cutter, predictable, and if you have a loose lug nut, you can lose a championship from all the rules and everything else. Talk a little bit about today's racing compared to your pioneer racing back in the 60s.
Well, it's no comparison, really. They got so many rules now. You eighth of an inch too low or too high, a lug nut loose. When you got 5 on there, it's just changed so much. I think it has too many rules and too much control over everything.
Yeah, there's rules for rules, that's for sure. A lot of controversy over Kevin Harvick having the right spoiler, but just in the wrong location. Do you think that had him win? I don't think so, and I think most fans don't either. I have the attitude.
I don't believe it at all.
Yeah, right. I have the attitude.
When he had the rear window problem, the next week he run just as good, and I'm sure it didn't really affect his win.
Right. I love the old days when you run what you brung, and you stuck to the basic rules and had fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all your older race fans likes it that way. And it's changed so much, NASCAR has lost a lot of its older fans.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to be talking to you much more in depth. You are a requested interview by Buzz McKim, the host of this show, and he is going to contact you and Eddie and get you on the program so that we can talk a little bit more in depth. But I wanted to call, since I heard you were at a rehab and doing so doggone good, I wanted to call you and wish you well, and thank you so much for being a part of our show.
It's great to be out of the rehab and home and enjoying myself, and thanks for having me on the show.
You got it. Thank you. 1960 NASCAR champion Rex White. All right. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. We're coming up on another break here shortly, I guess. But I got about 6 minutes, 5 minutes. Okay, we'll go with that. I want to go back to the dirt racing roots again. Ironically, our tracks here local, we are so blessed with the idea that we have extra racing that's available. Right. First of all, to have a quarter midget track, to have a go-kart track. How many people are participating nowadays at the dirt track at Volusia Speedway Park in go-karting?
Go-karting is going through a transition like NASCAR is as well. Rules came and hurt the sport a little bit. And then kids had a lot of other things to do. They had PlayStation, they had Xbox. They weren't as interested in going outside and playing anymore. So it did take a dip. But now I think what we're experiencing is it's coming back. Because the kids who've grown up on nothing but Xbox and PlayStation, when you actually get in something where the motor starts and you feel the acceleration, so we're seeing a bit of a resurgence. And so right now for state level races, they're getting 75, 80 go-karts.
Good.
For a regional or a local race, the attendance is down a little bit. They're probably getting 40, 45 go-karts.
I can remember the days of go-karting. I did it in the early 80s, and there'd be 125, 150 carts show up in all the different classes.
Right.
And it really made a big difference. But you know what? Have you ever driven a cart?
No.
Have you ever driven a cart?
Absolutely, I have.
We're going to tell Bob not to do it, because if you ever do it, oh my, it is fast,
I'll never quit,
it is
right?
furious, that's right. And it's not like these little hobby tracks where you go around and they have things over the wheels and you bang the barriers. No, it's not like that.
Like that.
No way. Is a lot of it still four-cycle?
Most of it's still four-cycle.
Okay.
And you're absolutely right. My son races. He races late models. We spent part of a season racing ARCA. So he's been around Kentucky Speedway at 180 miles an hour. On his birthday, his 26th birthday, we actually got a go-kart, and he went over and raced at the go-kart track, and he absolutely loved it. Can't wait to do it again. So it doesn't matter what you've raced. When you get back in a go-kart that's 3/8 of an inch off the ground, you're exposed, you're wheel-to-wheel, it's just as exciting as any form of racing.
Matter of fact, they race at Daytona International Speedway on the infield course with a 3-point-something miles around there.
Yeah,
I've
but
done
that's
that.
on asphalt. That's
I know, but I've done. But
That's insane.
I did it on the track in a sprint series with a laid-back sprint where the highest part of the cart was the top of my head and the top of my toes, right? And when you're up on the high banks and you're doing about 115, 120 miles an hour, and you see those big tall letters go and they're blurry. It's like, what am I doing?
Exactly.
I'm not wearing a seat belt, and there's no roll bars. So, but it's very stable. And they do race there once a year. As a matter of fact, we're coming up on it again, in between Christmas and New Year's.
Right.
It is
Every
the
year.
world's largest participated motorsport event. Close to 400 entries are there, and over 3 days they race on the big track, and it's really quite amazing.
Crazy
WKA, is that who the governing
it's
body is
WKA.
still? Okay, very good. All right, we are got a couple minutes to go here. When we get back, we are going to have a question of the day, and that person is going to actually win the ticket. We do have room for another question in case you want to get it in really, really quick. Oh, that's out of your book. I'm pulling your stuff out of your book. Oh, well. Anyway, we're going to have that as soon as we return, and it's going to be Tony. Where's Tony at? All right, Tony, that's good. So we got that coming up. I want to remind you, we are at Racing's North Turn Restaurant. What you do is you get on A1A and head as far south as you can. You can go further if you want to, but you'll be in an inlet in water. But you come on down, you'll see Racing's North Turn. There's an event that's here. I was talking to Bob about it, Bob Coolidge, about some wildlife. What is it?
It's a wildlife refuge release program or something. I think I saw the sign on the way down here. They're having it tomorrow, I believe, tomorrow morning.
Plenty of parking right across the street here from the restaurant. You can come in. Another thing you have to see, they have a world-class gift shop down there, especially if you like things that are beachy or, coastal oriented. They got a great gift shop down here, so make sure you come down. This next break is going to be brought to you by Staples Office Supplies on International Speedway Boulevard. I want to challenge you to go down there. They have a sale on printers down there right now. So you need to go check out Staples on West International Speedway Boulevard. They get past the Speedway on down, and they'll have that for you. So we're going to take a break. We're going to be right back. We're going to have a winner and a question from the audience, and another driver calling in at 12:40. We'll be back right after this.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. Racing's original North Turn is our broadcast headquarters. If you're looking for a good drink, great entertainment, and the best in food, they're right on the beach at Racing's original North Turn. Rhonda and Walt invite you to come on down to dinner tonight. Here are a couple of testimonials. These are actual testimonials from people who have enjoyed the North Turn. Been there many times, always great food and drinks, great location on the beach. And another, what a great experience. It's my new favorite restaurant in the Daytona Beach area, Racing's original North Turn on South Atlantic Avenue. That's A1A in Ponce Inlet, about 3.2 miles south of the Dunlawton Bridge and A1A intersection. It's Racing's original North Turn, a restaurant, museum, bar, gift shop, live music. That's Racing's North Turn. Racing's North Turn has been voted by you top 10 beach bar 7 years in a row. Next year, they're going for top 5. We're back from where it all began, Racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, Buzz McKim.
Welcome to the Legends of Racing radio show. We're glad to have you here. We're going to be on till 1 o'clock today. You got time to still get down here and get some food going. Walter and Rhonda are eating their own food, so that tells you that it's very edible, right? I mean, if they'll eat it, hey, that's important. Okay, we have an important guest question. It's coming from Tony. You live here in Ponce Inlet?
Right
and
here.
And this unique location, let me say, when we say Racing's North Turn, what's unique about this, guys, of course, that was the original, if you want to call it dirt racing, you know, that was sand racing, but much of it is out here. This is on the location where the north turn of the old beach track would be. You would come around here, turn to the west, and then you go up on the pavement and head south. So a very famous location. And once you come here, it's like a mini museum. And when you come in, there's pictures and artifacts and all kinds of things. And it's like a museum here, so it's a lot of fun. Tony, what is your question, sir?
You talked about preparing the track, but where in Florida do you get good dirt and clay for racing?
That's actually a great question because we're very scientific about the dirt we use. We actually will send off samples to be analyzed of different dirt to tell us the clay content, the sand content, and if it's too much clay, it's actually not good dirt. We need a certain amount of sand because it allows the water to go through it. And there's a lot of properties that we want the dirt to take on. So the dirt that we use actually comes out of not too far from the racetrack. It's about a half-hour away in Lake County. And this most recent, we put about 40 loads on the track because we're constantly losing dirt. The sprint cars are slinging it, and the other cars are taking it home with them. Yeah, I mean, we got guys that bring 5-gallon buckets of dirt from last week back to us, which we appreciate. But the dirt that we just added to the track came out of Lake County in an area where we knew there was good clay, but you have to dig down quite deep because the top 5-8 feet of dirt has too much sand in it. So we actually bring that sand and use it out back in the property till we get down to the good dirt. And then when you get to that good dirt, you have to spread it out and introduce it to the existing dirt. So we have to till it all up, put the new dirt on the tilled up dirt, and then we have to pack it down, water it, and get them to blend together. It's an absolute science. We have a full-time guy that's 5 days a week working the track. We have 16 pieces of equipment that we use that all burn a lot of diesel fuel. I'll let you know, I pay for it. And we work that track all week long and literally put upwards of 100,000 gallons of water on it and then introduce that water. So we're very, very concerned about the consistency of the dirt we use, but we are lucky to find it local. A lot of places you get up into Georgia, they got a red clay. It's a very, very red. The problem they have is actually too tacky. They have to actually find enough sand to put into that red clay so that they can smooth it out and it doesn't rut and stuff like that. So we do have some good dirt around here, but it's harder to find, and it's where the elevation is higher. It's not coming around here where we're 4 feet above sea level.
No.
There's way too much sand. So we have to go into the areas of the state that's more elevated and then dig down into that soil.
And they all gather at the track each morning, hold hands in a circle, and pray for no rain.
That's right.
That's
Well, just a little bit in the morning, maybe.
that's right.
Actually, a little bit of rain is good for us
I
if it's
know.
early in the day.
But then if it looks like it's going to be a lot of rain, they actually even do a rain non-dance.
Yeah.
Yes. Come race
happens.
time, we don't want to see it anymore.
That's it, for sure.
The track does become very slippery when it's wet. So we can't even get our diesel equipment out on the track because of the banking.
Right.
We've actually had an 8,000-gallon water truck spin out on our track just trying to go slow around the track, because what happens, they get on the banking and they slide downhill. And it's scary to be in one when that
Well,
happens.
that's okay. It just means that when those drivers go into the corners, some of them are almost wide open. If anything, they go down in there and they burp the gas, which means they let go of the gas, tag the brake pedal, set up the car, and then they're right back in it again. Yeah. And it makes a big difference.
Actually, Roland, the gentleman that's going to call in, Nevin Gainey, when he's right, he'll flat-foot his Florida late model around that track.
I love it.
It's
That's
amazing.
something.
I mean,
Steering with the rear.
Yep, it's man and machine. That's all I can say.
Well, Tony just won a free ticket to there, and I'll give it to you right here after the show. Here's something else I'm going to do. Make an executive decision right here. And all of a sudden, Michael Multane goes, huh? If you would like to get a ticket to the racetrack, and I want it to be one ticket per group so we can spread it out. I want you to go to Facebook, to the Legends of Racing radio show. Go there, like the page, number one. Number two, give me a one-sentence reason why you like this show on Fridays at noon. If you do that, we'll collect those names. We will Facebook you back, and we will tell you that you can come to the racetrack, go to the will call window, which means you pick up your ticket there. Does that sound fair, folks? Hey, come on down.
I just did it.
You just did it?
I just
good.
logged in. So
Tom wants
I'm
a free
hoping to win a
ticket.
ticket.
Oh, so you need a ticket to get
He wants a
in.
free
See?
ticket.
They're pretty strict. Those tickets are valuable. That's for sure. It's going to be a great, great weekend for sure for racing and dirt racing. This is where, when you say grassroots motorsports, we mean dirt.
Dirt.
We mean that's where it all began and where it happens, and it makes a big difference. Now, of course, the difference on asphalt, if we compare it to New Smyrna Speedway, high banked half mile, it's wicked fast. But there's one huge difference. Those concrete walls are hard.
Yes, they are.
Okay? There's a song for that. It's called I Fought the Wall and the Wall Won, you know. It doesn't work. Oh, I know. Okay. Okay. Hey, I'm going to keep my day job. Folks, it is time for another break. And when we get back, we're going to have an important phone call. So stay tuned. This one is brought to you by the Corvette Club of Ponzena. How about that? They need to come down here and give us rides. Back after this.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing radio show. At Beach Boys Embroidery and Tees, it's all about making you happy. Beach Boys Embroidery can customize your athletic golf apparel, caps, hats, badges, buttons, magnets, backpacks, bags, totes, clocks, watches, oh, and of course, T-shirts. Sure, they're at 2033 South Ridgewood Avenue in South Daytona, and they're waiting for you to call now. 386-255-5880. Beach Boys Embroidery and Tees. We're back from where it all began, racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing radio show continues with your host, Buzz McKim.
Buzz McKim. He's up in Watkins Glen. He's a keynote speaker up there, very important thing. But it's good. We still have a McKim here. We have Alma here, his mama. She's here. She's doing the applause sign. And we gave her the applause sign because you're not actually applauding for us up here. You're applauding for her. So that makes a big difference. It really does. All right, we're going to have, okay, good. We have our callers set up. And I'll let you take it away, Bob.
Is this Nevin Gainey?
Yes, sir, it is.
Nevin, how you doing, buddy?
All right, how about y'all?
Pretty good. Hey, you got that Florida late model all dialed in for tomorrow night?
I couldn't hear you. What'd you say?
I say, do you have your Florida late model all dialed in for tomorrow night?
I mean, we sure hope so. We hope so.
You know, one thing that we didn't mention yet today, Nevin, we do have practice tonight. Are you guys coming down for practice tonight and staying overnight?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we still got a couple hours worth of stuff left to do to it, and then we're gonna head down that way and make sure that I ain't totally screwed this thing up for tomorrow.
You know, Nevin, I just have to get off the Florida late model division for one moment. We had the fall brawl at Volusia here 2 weeks ago, and you jumped into street stock. How much fun was that compared to your Florida late model?
It's a ton of fun. I like going back to kind of the old grassroots where I started and racing some of them old cars, you know. Stuff definitely is a lot slower than driving the late model. Seems like you can eat a cheeseburger and read a book down the straightaway versus in the late model. It's a lot of fun.
Hey, what part of New York are you from?
Part of New York? I'm from Florida.
There you go. Whereabouts in Florida are you from, Nevin?
Fort White, Florida. It's in between Gainesville and Lake City, Florida.
Very good. I got a quick question for him. Bob was bragging here that when your car is set up right and the track has the black ribbon worked into it, that you are actually going down wide open into the turns and not actually letting up in the turns. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We've worked very hard over the years. Because we live in Florida. It's always dry. It's hot. You know, black sandy racetrack. So we worked really hard to make these cars go as fast as possible in them type of conditions. It's a little nerve-wracking and on the edge sometimes, but we've got pretty good at it.
He sounds real nervous and excited, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
He's nice, calm, cool, collected. You got to be that way to drive
That's
120 miles an hour into a turn and not put the brake on.
Yeah, you know, Nevin Gainey is one of those rare wheelmen that can do that I would say has the guts to do that. I mean, to come out here to Volusia Speedway Park and watch your Nevin Gaineys and your Mark Whiteners and your Kyle Bronsons, and those are three of the guys that when they're right, they'll flat-foot it around there, and if you're not impressed, you're not alive. I mean, you guys are awesome.
I'm going to ask you.
I appreciate that.
I'm going to ask you a couple personal questions, real quick. You don't have to answer them, but I hope you do. How old are you?
34 years old.
Okay, 34. That means you've been racing dirt for a while. Is that correct?
We've raced dirt and asphalt. I started when I was 15.
Okay, my question
I ain't got
is,
a calculator on me.
so
I don't know how long
you
that
started in your teens then, and my question is, did you ever consider going to higher ranks of racing, or you just have way too much fun with the Saturday night racing?
Always, you know, when you're younger, you know, you watch NASCAR, you watch the Lucas Oil or World Outlaws on TV, you know, of course you want to make that level, you know. For about a year, I went and worked in North Carolina on a Bush team at the time, you know, and I called Daddy and said, look, I'd rather come home and be back closer to the roots than be a small fish in a big pond. So we come home and we just do the best we can with what we got and just race as local as possible.
Tom Whipple that's with us mentioned that earlier about how some of the drivers of today, your Casey Kanes, Tony Stewarts, they go back to that kind of racing to race on dirt again. as a sidebar thing, I'm a Fireball Roberts fan. I have fireballroberts.com website. He used to race right here on this beach. And one thing that a lot of people question, they say, well, where was he in the early 50s? He won a strictly stock race in 1950. Where was he up till 56, 57? Well, folks, he was racing modifieds. What was he racing on? He was racing on dirt. And he was racing 3, 4, 5 nights a week for good money. And those are the faster cars, that's for sure. So I can understand you wanting to stay with that. Well, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow night at the Florida Late Model Challenge that's going on here. And on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think your chances are of winning?
10.
10.
Well, as a driver, you want it to be a 10.
You got it.
But you just gotta go in there, keep your nose clean, and just do the best job you can do. You know, I mean, it's all you can do.
Excellent. We look forward to seeing you. Listen, if some of these fans decide that they're going to get a pit pass, which they can get, right?
Absolutely.
How much is a pit gate?
Oh, yes, sir.
$30.
It's,
$30 for the pit gate.
I believe. $30.
But if they find, what is your car number?
It's 41.
41. So if they come down into the pits and they find the 41 pit, will you autograph something for them?
Yes, sir. Actually, we got tons of pictures of little cards we can hand out to the kids. So have them stop on by, and we'll be more than glad to autograph them and give them out to them.
Well, Nevin, you know, it's always a pleasure to watch you, and if I was going to rate your chances tomorrow night on a 1 to 10, I'd probably give you an 11 if that car is right. And, you know,
Very
Nevin, you know, Roland looked at me
I
when...
appreciate that very much.
You know, Nevin, Roland looked at me when he...
I appreciate all the hard work.
You know, Nevin, Roland
What's
looked
that?
at...
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
It's hard to hear back and forth.
Yeah. Roland looked at me when he said, what car number you're driving? And you never know what Nevin Gainey's driving. He's got a 17, he's got a 40, he's got an 8. So when you asked that question, I didn't say a certain number because what happened to the 17 cars, Nevin? You retire those? Or is it a new wrap and it's a 40?
No,
41.
it's just it was my uncle's car, and I was just doing a 41. I was just doing a throwback to one of my uncle's old cars.
Okay.
Very good. Well, thank you for calling in. We appreciate it. You're a true champion for us for calling in, and we'll see you tomorrow night at Volusia Speedway Park, 15 miles west of I-95 right on State Road 40. Can't miss it. Thank you. Appreciate your
Nevin.
call. Now,
Thank you.
Thank you, Nevin.
Yes, sir.
how much time do we have? Okay, good. We got a couple minutes here to talk about something very, very special. Tom, you impressed me yesterday when we had a little bit of a talk on the air about some of the activities that you have going on at Volusia Speedway Park. And the part that got me is you really are trying to emphasize children getting to the track and getting active in what goes on. So, Bob, you mentioned that you have some intermission activities. Will you guys tell us?
Yes, and what we are focused on the kids. Tomorrow night, we're going to give away over 50 bikes to kids in the grandstands. We've got sponsors have donated, fans have donated. We're going to bring veterans out on the front straightaway because we always honor the veterans every Saturday night. And we're going to bring veterans out on the front straightaway. They're going to pull the armband ticket numbers for each kid, and then that kid will go to that veteran and hand them their ticket, and then they will go with them to get them their bicycle. That's all happening on the front straightaway during intermission, prior to the driver introductions for the Florida Late Model Challenge Series. We've had great success. We've given away T-shirts to every single kid in the stands on certain nights. Every Saturday night, we get an additional trophy for the feature class. We get a second identical trophy, and Bob brings the kid out onto the front straightaway, and we give that kid the identical trophy to take home with them. And we've had parents call us and say, my kid's never been to the races before, but he slept with that trophy last night, and he can't wait to go back next Saturday night.
That's great.
That's fun. And Bob's been real instrumental in helping us do that.
One thing we used to do, which was crazy insane, but it was very popular, we'd line the kids all up along the fence, take them down the gate onto the track,
right,
and you pick them up, put them in the side of the race car, and they actually went around the track very slow in the race car. Do we do that anymore?
Well, we did it 2 years ago was the last time we did it with the Thunderstocks because they were the only ones that actually you could put somebody in there. But it's really a huge safety issue. If God forbid if something would happen, the liability. And so we haven't done it. I don't think we did it last year. I believe it was 3
You
years
have to
ago.
keep your insurance for the
yes.
track.
Well,
yeah.
most of our cars are tubbed out, though. So
Okay.
there is no passenger compartment area anymore in most of the race cars except one of the classes.
Very good. But I really like the idea that you're emphasizing the kids so much because that is the future of motorsports. If NASCAR's smart, they'll
Yeah.
do the same thing. I predict one day, not too distant future, they're going to have a racing league for kids. Now, unfortunately, it's going to be with gaming.
Uh-huh.
All right. Watch for eNASCAR. eNASCAR. Watch. It'll happen.
Okay.
Hey, we're going to take our last break of the day. Once again, thanking the Glasnicks for our hosting this at the Racing's North Turn restaurant. And this one's going to be brought to you by, let's see, this is interesting, the Olive Oil Company, Granada Plaza, Ormond Beach. I went in there, good smells. If you don't understand olive oil, it's really kind of a specialty, and this store really has everything that you'd ever want in that. So we will be back right after this. Don't go anywhere. This is the Legends of Racing Radio Show.
The caution flag is out. Time for a break. We'll be right back with the Legends of Racing Radio Show. Welcome to the Janet Hale Foundation website. With this website, we hope to broaden our reach, to find someone like you to help us on our journey. Janet's journey started 40 years ago to ensure that all children had a toy under the tree at Christmas. Today, thousands of toys and clothing are donated for underprivileged kids. We need your help to continue our journey. Tour this website and find the Donate Now button. A small gesture can make a big difference in a young life. We need your help. Visit us on Facebook, Janet Hale Foundation, or call 386-256-0752. We're back from where it all began, racing's original North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. The Legends of Racing Radio Show continues with your host, Buzz McKim.
Yay, Buzz! If you'd like to see this show again, they do archive it on the air. You can go back and listen to it and find out information from it. Life is really good, guys. Here we are in a beautiful restaurant, hungry, and we're going to get fed. And here we are on beautiful Atlantic Ocean Beach talking about racing. I wonder how much we have to pay to do this show.
You know what, Roland? I'll speak before Tom, and I think I can speak for Tom. Tom is a great promoter. What he's done this year, and I only met the man in March. We did our banquet, and I MC the banquets for Volusia. I've done them the last 5 years. And the first day I met Tom, he was a little nervous about the banquet because he didn't witness the way, basically, that we did it before. When you work at Volusia Speedway Park, I guarantee you 95% of those people, number one, they're race fans. And I know Tom Whipple, his boys raced, Tom raced, he raced motorcycles, he raced all kinds of different sports cars and stuff. Tom is a race fan. He now has the promoter hat on, and he's doing an outstanding job. And this is what I tell the fans. What I do, to me, is not a job. It's a privilege. When you can stand and you can talk about what you love the most, and that's dirt track racing, and you put your heart into it, it excites me every time I drive down Route 40 and pull into Volusia Speedway Park. And like I said, thank you, Tom, for letting me do what I love to do, and it's a privilege. To have a driver win their very first feature event ever, climbing out of that car with tears in their eyes, and then I stick a microphone in front of them, and it's emotional for me because this guy worked his or her whole life for one goal, and that's to get to the Gary Yeoman's Ford Performance Parts Victory Lane at Volusia Speedway Park. And if that only happens once or twice a year, that makes your whole season. And like I say,
that's all you need.
And if there's any announcer out there that announces any kind of racing, and I do the quarter midgets, and I've been there for 19 years. Why do I go back? Because I call them my kids. I love watching these 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kids race. because someday when they're done with quarter midgets, I know where they're going to be. They're going to be either at Mr. Hart's half-mile track, New Smyrna Speedway, or they're going to be at Tom Whipple's half-mile dirt track in Volusia. So to watch these kids grow and mature and wind up in late models and street stocks and gladiators, it's a privilege. And what I was going to say about any other announcer, if they tell you it's not a privilege, they're fibbing to you.
Again, let's talk about tomorrow night, November 10th, the season finale. The Florida late models will invade the track. Question, how many will the feature have?
We start generally 26 cars.
Okay. Is there a magic to that particular number?
When you start more, they catch up to each other pretty quickly, and it turns into a wreck fest.
There you go. Well, this is part of this. This is the finale of the Florida 2018 Late Model Challenge Series. It's their 10,000 points fun on the line at the world's fastest half-mile dirt track. Now, how do you get that figure? Because I've always said that, but I can't think of another half-mile dirt track.
It's on Wikipedia. You can look it up. It's a 12.53 second lap by a winged sprint car about 4 or 5 years ago. Eldora Speedway is the second fastest at 12.7.
Tomorrow night also, street stocks, thunder stocks, half price for veterans and active military. Thanks for doing that, for honoring our military. General admission is going to be $12. Kids, 13 to 17, are only $8. 12 and under, free. So once again, you're getting the kids to come out. So it would be a very important thing. Pit passes, you can't do this in NASCAR.
Right.
But you can on the local races, $30. Part of that is, I'll kind of tell a secret on that. You guys have to pay insurance down in that pit for each individual person. So it's a little bit more money, and it makes a big difference. Matter of fact, a lot of your proceeds come from the pit gate, the people getting in to go to that's for sure. So Gladiators Challenge Series, you can go online. Oh, and the mini sprints. Those are wicked. Those go wide open around the track, and they're like a miniature sprint car, and they go fast. VSP, that's Volusia Speedway Park, VSPRacing.com for the information. Pit gates open at 4. The main gate opens at 5. Racing at 7:30. But I would be there early because you guys are going to do a lot of preliminary racing.
We will. And, one thing I wanted to mention, Roland, when you talked about for the folks out there that are thinking about going in the pit area, if you come there early, pit gates open at 4, you get your pit band, your wristband. That entitles you to go in the grandstands also. So you pay the $30,
right.
And then if you want to choose to go to the grandstands and watch, say, the features, you don't have to pay an additional $12. That $30 gets you any place on the property.
Do they still have that famous parking up between turns 1 and 2 on the hill?
Yes.
And you got to go early.
Our man right over there, Richie Kolka.
Yeah.
He's an old dirt modified racer from upstate New York.
Right.
He turned 90 this year, back in August. And,
Richard! Yeah.
I was shocked to see him here today. He didn't know I was coming down here, and I didn't know he was coming. And Tom Whipple was nice enough to let Richie and a bunch of my buddies give him the VIP suite on his birthday. So
very good.
It's pretty cool to have a 90-year-old guy that still follows the dirt racing.
Well, one day you just might see Roland Via, who used to be a track announcer with Joe Lineberry at the Speedway. Come knock on the door and I'll sit in and do some color for you.
What about tomorrow night? I'm calling you out now, Roland.
We'll be talking about it. That's for sure. All right. I want to remind you that this program is only possible with a lot of special people. The team. First of all, Buzz McKim, he's gone from here right now. But Shane Stanton's our chief engineer. He's nicknamed The Volt. Yeah. Does that mean that if Rich comes again next week, he would be revolting? Oh, no. All right. Richmond Carter, our operations manager. Mike Multane, the founder, executive producer, the head honcho, right over there. He is our grand poobah. We have Gwen McKim, Alan McKim. They're honorary associate producers because they hatched Buzz. All right. Well, not his wife, but his wife married him. Anyway, Bill Watson, the Legends photographer, Elizabeth Wicks, Walter Glasnick, and Rhonda Glasnick. Over there in the corner, those are the proprietors. Thank you. We appreciate that. I'm Roland Via, And it's such fun to be able to sit in and do this. I really like it. But the truth is, I came for the food. You can't resist. Was the food good here, folks, today? You eating? Yeah. There you go. It makes a big difference. We're going to be back here again on next Friday for the noon show. We appreciate it. Our sponsors that helped us out today. Cree Web Design. We also have the Staples Office Supplies, the Corvette Club of Ponce Inlet, and the Olive Oil Company at Granada Plaza in Ormond Beach. Without them, this would not be possible. So go to their Facebook pages. Tell them that you like the racing show. It goes a long ways. For Bob, Tom, and the crew, I'm Roland Via. Thank you once again for being here on the Legends of Racing radio show. See you next week.
The Legends of Racing radio show originates live from the very spot where beach racing began, Racing's North Turn Beach Bar and Grill. Join us next time for the Legends of Racing radio show with Buzz McKim.